It's closing time on the campaign trail, and how's Barack Obama trying to finish last call? With a cocktail that is equal parts audacity, anxiety, humor, and offense. The audacity, Obama's big final sales pitch in a format typically reserved for stomach muscle machines and cutlery that never dulls even after slicing through a tin can. But Senator Obama's infomercial did have one thing that the folks hawking all-in-one garden tools at 2 a.m. will never have, and that was a primetime slot on 7 networks.
Starting at that speech at the Democratic Convention in Boston and ever since, people have noticed that there's a quality in Barack Obama they just don't see in other candidates.
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America.
Here's a person who, as a state legislator, was a clear leader in Springfield on so many important issues that really made a difference. Came to Washington, had an impact as soon as he arrived.
He came in, not only reached out, but reached across the aisle to Dick Lugar, one of the leading guys in America for the past 20 years on arms control, to keep loose nukes out of the hands of terrorists. I was amazed. I watched him incisively question the Secretary of State in a nomination process. I remember literally turning to Chris Dodd saying, "Whoa, this guy's good."
Is this 30-minute ad a bold move? Well, it is the boldest presidential TV time buy since Ross Perot in 1992 and the giant sucking sound pie charts. Is it too bold a move? Horning in on Americans' all-important TV time with a political ad? Well, John McCain was apparently hoping you would feel that way when he tried to shore up the vote of Joe the Phillies fan by accusing Obama and his evil ad of delaying the World Series.
It used to be that only rain or some other act of God could delay the World Series. But I guess the network execs figured an Obama infomercial was close enough.
There are 2 problems with McCain's protest. First, according to Fox, that bastion of liberal elitist media, Obama's ad buy is not at all delaying the World Series. The executive in charge of the buy for Fox, again, a noted bastion of Democratic partisanship, the Fox exec said, quote, "Our first pitch for the World Series is usually around 8:30 anyway, so we didn't push back the game. It was really just about suspending the pregame." The other problem with McCain's "no one will delay a World Series when I'm president" line is, well, do you remember that the first game of the NFL season this year got pushed up by an hour and a half? Why was that again? Oh, yeah, to accommodate John McCain's speech at the Republican National Convention. Are you ready for some stump speech, everybody? But even if Americans don't blame Obama for the regular 8:30 start time of the World Series, just like no one really blamed John McCain for changing the whole start time of the NFL season this year, Republicans still want to try to stoke your annoyance anyway.
And I think the one fear I bet people inside the Obama campaign have is that this comes across as a little presumptuous, that he's already in the job and taking over network time like this, I think can have a negative reaction in some of these states.
As if in answer to Mr. Bartlett there, Barack Obama has tempered the boldness of the big TV buy tonight with an online ad that targets his supporters specifically. And that online ad is going way viral. Did you see this today? The metaphor here is, get your hands back on the handlebars, you dork nozzle. Stop celebrating. Keep pedaling. Now, even though this looks like a homemade YouTube clip job, it's got that priceless amateur feel. It's actually a piece that was produced by the official Obama campaign to remind worried Democrats that they ought to be worried, that they ought to be working harder. It ends with the ad ends by imploring the viewer that they should get out and plan to volunteer for Obama on Election Day or before. Then there's also Obama's secret sense of humor weapon. After weeks of being pounded by the McCain campaign as a socialist, Senator Obama decided to take that on today by making fun of it.
Lately, he's called me a socialist for wanting to roll back the Bush tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans so we can finally give tax relief to the middle class. I don't know what's next. By the end of the week, he'll be accusing me of being a secret communist because I shared my toys in kindergarten.
And now in the home stretch of the home stretch of the home stretch, the Obama campaign has added some pointed offense to the mix. Their newest ad accuses John McCain of being weak on the economy, and for the first time, it sort of officially goes after McCain for choosing Sarah Palin as his running mate. Wink, wink. So audacity, the infomercial, enunciated anxiety, keep peddling, a sense of humor, the communist PB&J sandwiches, and offense. McCain picked Palin. Those are the ingredients in Obama's closing time cocktail. Is he leaving anything out? Joining us now is Governor Mike Easley of North Carolina, a swing state for the first time in years, where Barack Obama spoke in front of 28,000 people in Raleigh today. Governor, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Rachel. Good to be back with you. What is a dork nozzle again?
I will tell you when you're older.
Okay.
Governor Easley, first I've got to ask you about the 30-minute ad. I assume that you were able to see it from where you are now. Do you think it was a good move? Do you think it was well done? Do you think it poses any risks?
I think it was necessary. I think it was good. I think it gave Barack Obama a chance to make his closing argument to the people, to do away with some of the inaccuracies that people have seen. And, you know, the important thing about this is if you spend a little time with Barack Obama, like I've had the privilege to do, you find out that this is not about him. And this ad was not about him. It was about a lot of different people across America. And he had these cutaways where everybody saw somebody like themselves or somebody they know. That's the first thing I noticed about it. And I thought that was very compelling, that he's making this about the American people, not about Barack Obama. The second thing that I think is important is he's talked about, written a book about the audacity of hope. Tonight's ad was more about the power of hope, letting people know that if they will just stand up for themselves, take charge of their own life, accept personal responsibility for this democracy, that we can go forward and we can make a lot of changes. Those were the two things I picked up in there that I thought were particularly helpful. I actually was very moved by this 30-minute ad.
I thought that the ad was it was very serious and very sober, and it was interesting. I mean, we did see some flash of humor today on the campaign trail today from the candidate in person when he was in North Carolina today, and I think that's the third time he's been there this month. He actually made fun of McCain, calling him a socialist, and I love that because I feel like the socialist thing is ridiculous and it deserves being made fun of. But I wonder if you feel that there are people in your state, undecided voters, who may have taken that line of attack seriously, who need to be seriously, soberly talked out of the socialist accusation.
Yeah, I really don't think. I mean, he had a lot of great lines in there, but I thought that was a good one about, you know, while he was in kindergarten playing with his Lincoln logs he shared with others or whatever, Legos, whatever they were. Look, here's what's going on. Barack Obama's talking about doing a tax cut for the middle class, people who really need some help. And all of a sudden, McCain says, well, that's socialist because you're helping your friends and you're going to make sure they get a tax cut. And that's true. Barack Obama represents the middle class. Everything he wants to do does help rebuild the middle class, which, of course, builds America. But what about McCain's tax cuts? He wants to do $700,000 a piece for every Fortune 500 CEO, $700,000. Now, how come that tax cut isn't socialist if Barack Obama's middle class tax cut is supposed to be socialist? So I think they're sort of throwing the long ball here. That they're, as he put it, I think in one speech, they're out of ideas and they're running out of time. I don't think anybody's buying the socialist agenda. They understand that if they are making under $250,000, they're going to get a tax cut. That covers about everybody in North Carolina.
I don't want to look too far ahead here, but I was looking at the voter registration numbers in North Carolina today preparing to talk to you, and I've realized that because of the mobilization efforts in this election, there are now almost 1 million more registered Democrats in North Carolina than there are registered Republicans, which reflects an incredible ground game and a lot of enthusiasm. But I wonder, regardless of what happens in the presidential election, has the North Carolina political landscape changed? Are North Carolina Democrats going to move to try to take advantage of this motherload of new Democrats that they've got after this election?
Well, I think so. The registration drive has been great. They got 50 offices in North Carolina, 21,000 volunteers, had 28,000 people at the event today, and that's because you couldn't put any more in that area than that. I think it's going to be good for the Democratic ticket up and down. But, you know, that dynamic has changed a little bit. But what's changed more than anything else is it's finally catching up. the chickens have come home to roost from this McCain, Bush economic policies, these trade policies, all of which have been poorly negotiated, all of which have been even more poorly enforced. And the public is finally getting it after 2004. They almost got it. But they know now that this doesn't work and we have to make a change. So I think what you're seeing in the change in dynamics is not only registration, but you're seeing a simple syllogism here, which is Bush and McCain have the same policy. Secondly, the Bush economic policy does not work. It's a failure. And third, that means we have to change, and that's Barack Obama. And he's got specific policies and not only in the economy, but education and energy and tax policy that will change the dynamics of the economy for America.
Governor Mike Easley of the unlikely swing state of North Carolina, it's so good to have you back on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Rachel. Good to be back with you.
Thank you.